Hi there. This is Jo Zuleika, founder of Women Who Lead with Heart, coming on live for my weekly Sunday message, my training, my time to connect with you. And the topic that I chose this week was called How to Stay Positive. And it is such a timely topic. As many of you know, I work in travel in my day job, and it is a very challenging time for all of us to feel positive and to stay focused on the positive when pretty much all the messaging that we're getting leads to sort of a negative everything, a negative outcome. We're having cancellations, we're having dropping sales, we're having people out of work, we're having people experiencing illness or virus scares far from home. There's really not a lot of things that feel abundantly positive or optimistic right now when we come to the world of travel. And that's just in my little world. You can kind of emanate out and know that the cruise ship industry is just imploding, that air travel is complicated right now, and that many airlines are suffering, that most travel-based businesses, from whether or not you run a bed and breakfast out of the basement of your home or you have a hotel chain, it's on all spectrums a very challenging time to feel positive. And that's just for those of us who are in travel. Many of us are challenged with trying to feel positive right now due to really personal sort of like assaults on our outlook closer to home. Maybe we know someone who is sick. Maybe we're afraid that our loved ones will be getting sick. Maybe we're just so alarmed and fatigued and stressed with the challenges of adapting to this lifestyle of having to be sequestered, of not getting to do the things we love, of having things cancel on us all around us. I mean, I think last Thursday was just so remarkable. The NBA canceled their season. Major League Baseball canceled opening day. Hockey is done. Concerts everywhere are canceled. There's just sort of this retraction globally from people gathering and from people gathering for what would have been really celebratory, uplifting, exciting, fun things. And even closer to home, churches and synagogues are closing. Places that we go to for raising our spirit and for feeling connected. It's really hard to not make this an extremely negative time, because all of the input that we're getting, all of the news that we're getting is just full of doomsday and all sorts of challenges to our soul. So I'm sure, you're affected by it. We all are. And this is why I chose the topic, like, how do we stay positive for this particular time, but also in the future and any time that we just feel challenged to find a positive frame. So if you're watching me live, send me an emoji or say hi. And if you're watching on the replay, give me a hashtag replay in the comments below. A big reason why I do this is for us to feel connected, even though this is social media, so that I know who's out there, who's watching. I'd love to hear your comments and how this impacts you. So what I'm going to do now is give you my 5 tips for how to stay positive. You ready? Number 1 is feed your mind. This is the number one thing. It's the number one thing on my list, but it's also the most important thing. If you think of how you start your day and what you need to do to feel like you're ready to start your day, the one metaphor I like to use is brushing your teeth. That you don't really feel ready to go out in the world and present yourself to other people, to speak to other people, to breathe on other people until you brush your teeth, right? It's this personal hygiene, this sense of readiness, this sense of like sort of communicating, I'm ready now to speak, to be heard, to be seen, to be kissed, to be loved, to speak, to be out there. All right. If you use that same idea, sort of like mouthwash, I want to talk about mind wash. That you need the same sort of attention on your thoughts, on your emotional point of view, on the state that you're in. Just like you would brush your teeth, you need to brush your mind. You want to think about, I almost think of like shampooing my brain with goodness, with good, rich thoughts and feelings, with the point of view that I choose to take, because it is a choice. I can wake up in the morning and immediately switch on the news and feel extremely impressed by, and I mean like, the incoming pushes in on me, presses in on me with negativity, with stats, with things to worry about, or I can choose to be uplifted. I can choose to feed my mind positivity. I can choose to see what I want to see. I can choose to connect with people in an uplifting way. I can choose my words. I can choose my point of view. I can choose what I want to focus on. So there's a really famous quote that was that's been made viral by the life coach Tony Robbins. Maybe you've heard of it. And it's that energy goes where attention flows, or attention goes where energy flows. And what it means is that which you feed grows. So if you focus on all the things that there are to be afraid of, you are growing fear inside of you. And if you focus on all the things that you can't do, then scarcity is what you're feeding. Scarcity is what you become aware of. And while I'm not suggesting that you're blind and deaf to the news or to reality, I am suggesting that you can focus on the flip side, that you are healthy, that you are given this day, that you do have a choice with how you'd like to approach it. We're talking about the choice that you have to feed yourself what you want to focus on. So instead of thinking about all the things that you can't do, I would love to encourage that is the shortest list that you can make. There are 1 million things you can do. No, you may not be able to go to a concert. No, you may not be able to go to church or your synagogue. No, you might not be able to fly to Europe right now. But yes, you can choose your thoughts. Yes, you can be in love with life. Yes, you can see that it's been a blessing that for all of these years, you've taken for granted our communal immunity, that we've allowed ourselves to live and breathe and be in each other's space more or less healthfully. These are all reframes from the same reality, but one is a positive mindset about what is here, what you are capable of, what you can have, what you can choose, what is still on the table for you, versus that which you can't have, that you could be afraid about, that you that makes you feel afraid, that makes you feel scarce, that makes you feel limited. It's a choice. So number 1, it's a long one, is for you to feed your mind. The number 2 way to stay positive is to feed your body. So you talked about mind wash, right? But you could also invigorate yourself physically. We are physical beings. We are of chemistry. Our brain chemistry is incredibly impactful. And if you are at all somebody who suffers hormonal fluctuations, you know how dramatic our hormones are. You know how powerful our bodies can be over our mindset. And if you focus on this point number 2, feeding your body, you will be able to take charge of more positivity in your life. Fear is physical. The adrenaline, the chemistry that comes from you when you have a visceral, scared feeling. Like if you think about how you wake up in the middle of the night in a start, when you have a nightmare, you're having a physical experience that feels real, that is created from chemistry, from thoughts, and from your body. So if fear is physical, and if that brings negativity, if negativity is also physical, the juices that flow when you're focused on that which is negative or that takes your positivity away, try short-circuiting that by being physical in a way that feeds your body. So I'm literally meaning go outside and go for a walk, do yoga. Tony Robbins, to invoke his suggestions again, actually suggests pushing yourself so that you feel vigorous, that if you were to go for a walk, the last 5 minutes you walk twice as fast. Or if you like to run, the very tail end of your run, you sprint. Something that actually sort of sends your body a signal that I am vigorous. That it's challenging to actually feel vigorous and physically alive and also feel afraid at the same time. So these are ways that you can sort of circumnavigate a sense of being afraid by feeding your body and feeding your mind. The third thing to help you stay positive is to feed your spirit. And just like it would be so challenging to be physically vigorous and afraid at the same time, although I'm certain that if you're running away from a bear, those two things could be true, but you get me. If you are in gratitude, if you are in absolute awe of the beauty in your world, if you are channeling the love that you feel for the people you hold most dear, you cannot at the same time experience negativity. Not at the same time. So the idea is if you are feeding your mind, feeding your body, and also feeding your spirit, you're sort of creating a wedge between that which you are experiencing and negativity. It literally is a practice of focusing positivity as the point of attraction for your life. So the third point, feeding your spirit, means being in gratitude, seeing things that lift you, giving something rather than taking something. It's a beautiful time to think, if you are afraid, how could I be of service? How could I do something for someone else? When we get outside of our own sense of neediness or scarcity or fear, and we think of how we can be of service or help someone else, it's an immediate opportunity for us to feel so much better and to realize we can make an impact. So the agency that you have when you give, when you are ready to be contributing to somebody else's positivity, supports your own. So you want to feed your spirit. And there's so many gratitude practices that really support that. The fourth thing that can help you stay positive is to take action, to actually move out of the thoughts and the cogitating and the sort of ruminating to the doing. People are wired for action. We are physical. We are powerful when we take action. Whether it's like actually moving around or making a decision, you will feel better when you are taking action. So I'm not suggesting that you get busy and stay busy just to be busy. I actually think that's a super huge trap, especially for women leaders, women who are so capably talented at multitasking. That can be a drain. I am saying, though, that if you merely continue to be in your head without actually taking a step forward towards something, without taking action towards something, you won't feel that energy. And to keep energy moving, we need to keep moving forward. We need to physically, metaphysically, energetically step forward towards something and take action. So if there's something that you're contemplating that you think you've always wanted during this time of maybe being more dormant in your travels or at work or outside the home, now's the time to do it and feel the empowering rush of taking action towards something that you've always wanted. It will help support your positivity. And then the last thing, the fifth point I have for you for how to stay positive is to find inspiration. That yes, you can feed your mind with good thoughts, and yes, you can feed your body with activity and exercise, and yes, you certainly should feed your spirit with a gratitude practice or giving to others. And you can take action from all of these places. But we're limited in how much we can take on just in and of ourselves. We need inspiration. We need outside influence to help raise us further up. This is why we love inspirational leaders. This is why we love listening to music that lifts us. This is why we love biographies of famous people, or maybe not famous people, who have conquered something in their lives. Is that when we go outside of ourselves to learn something, to get a different concept, or to awaken our minds to another way of thinking, or a belief structure, or some personal development, or something that is inspiring and uplifting. It could be reading poetry. Going outside of ourselves and finding inspiration is a very important part of staying positive. That if you merely sort of stayed within yourself, you would have limits to how far you could go. So you want to be encouraging that connection for yourself. So what inspires you? That's my rhetorical but actual question. Like, if you have something to share about how you stay positive, and it resonates for you that you do something outside of yourself to stay inspired, where do you find that inspiration? For many of my clients, it's the work that we do. In my program, my Confident Leader program for women, I help women find and tune in to their own sense of knowing, their own resonant feeling of what feels good, and know for themselves where their baseline is, so that they have a powerful foundation of knowing and feeling what's good and right in their life, so that they can become a powerful leader then outside of themselves for other people. So if you want that inspiration, if you want a model for how you can find that truth for yourself and a practice that really serves you, something that supports you being positive, and not just rah-rah, not just something thin that you try to believe, but that you actually practice this positivity. If you want to understand what that model is like in my program, all you have to do is write me a comment below, like, I'd like to know more, and I will reach out and I will tell you what it's all about. I firmly believe that positivity is something that we can nurture in our lives by our point of attraction, by our focus, by our practice, by the actions that we take, the thoughts we choose to think about, and the emotions that we want to feel. And that it is not duping ourselves or pretending like reality doesn't exist. It is creating a reality in this world that supports us. It's a beautiful thing, and it's what you want for you, so that you don't feel like a ping pong ball just bouncing and reacting and responding to the stimuli in your world, especially when so much of that stimuli is coming through from a really negative channel. The broadcast news that you're receiving can be like a pin in your balloon of energy and just deflate you. But there's a different way. You can keep your balloon full. You can create a resonant practice for yourself that keeps you buoyant, confident, clear, happy, and positive. And from that place, you can do great things for yourself and for others. So that's my take, my 5 steps on how to be positive. I hope you liked it. Leave me a comment and go well.